Okay, great. Cool. So we released version 43 last week. One of the main things that was in that release was we tried to improve the robustness of cancelling runs. So we noticed that there was some scenarios and some times when you would cancel runs where things wouldn't be shut down gracefully. You would sometimes maybe not be able to cancel that run if it was in a certain state of its life cycle. So the team put a lot of work in the last release to make sure that cancelling runs works efficiently, and that's whether you're cancelling single runs or a group of runs by its group name. So yeah, this obviously is from both the command line. We don't have the capability yet in the web UI to cancel the runs, but you can see obviously when a particular run has been cancelled in the web UI in the test runs view, which we will talk a bit about in a moment. Cancelling runs also now will be clearing up in the DSS resources that it had bookmarked before finishing. In terms of some upgrades, so we had a couple of Golang packages upgraded, the net and the crypto, just upgrading to new versions to avoid some vulnerabilities. The same goes for the Kafka client library. This was being pulled in as an indirect dependency through one of the Apache Commons libraries, which we upgraded. We've also completely moved off of using Travis CI. This wasn't something that we maybe talked a lot about previously, but we did use Travis CI for some internal builds to build a developer's guide for internal contributors, but we now no longer use that as we have moved to using GitHub wiki pages for that documentation site that we were previously building. I've just seen that Louise has joined, so I'll just pause here and see Louise. Cool. So in terms of our external documentation website, galasa.dev, you may notice that we now have cookie consent that pops up, obviously, and asks you to accept. This is just so we could comply with some EU legislation that we had someone raise and ask us to implement this on the doc website. We've also had some infrastructure improvements. So previously we were using a wildcard TLS certificate to enable HTTPS traffic to a bunch of different subdomains at star.galasa.dev. There were about 6 or 7 of these, and we were told by Linux Foundation that, of course, this is not considered really best practice. Obviously, where one certificate covers a whole bunch of subdomains, if that certificate were to be compromised, obviously that would affect every single one of our sites. So the team put a real effort in this time around to move us off the wildcard certificate and completely remove any requirement we had on that. So all of our Galasa subdomains now use separate certificates, so things are a lot more secure. And I'm hoping that the Linux Foundation will be happier with us this time around. So yeah, that was a big team effort, really, but mostly Eamon putting in the practical side of that. So thank you, Eamon. A big push in the team at the moment, of course, is the web user interface. So we've got a lot of new additions and enhancements to the web UI. Starting off with some more general things, the website now supports German translation. So this was actually something that an external contributor, Shivan Beeson, did for us. And I believe he's continuing to want to do some more enhancements for us, which is great. So you would now be able to, German users, select the language and translate the web UI. We've got a lot of new settings in the preferences to just make things personal to each of our users. So we are allowing people to choose which date time format they want to see, and also configure their time zone. So all of the dates on the Galasa server for test runs are in UTC, but we are giving our users the the choice on the web UI, of course, of what they want to see, whether it be the browser or a custom time zone that they may choose. We've just got a little health indicator on the footer of the web UI, which just shows the health of the Galasa service that the web UI is connected to. And the biggest area that the web UI has really come leaps and bounds in the last couple of months, since probably the last meeting, is being able to look at test runs, which will obviously help to diagnose failures and any other issues using the UI. So for example, obviously just being able to find any test run that you might be interested in that ran on your service. You can share the link to that with other testers in your team. You can still download material about the test run to your machine, but also you're now able to view the artifacts and metadata and details about the method just on the web UI. So this is really, just a bit more ease of use, because from using the Galasa CLI, you would have to obviously download the artifacts and view that on your machine. But now through the web UI, as I'll show in a moment, we are able to do that purely on the site. So we have now a search time frame to allow people to narrow down what duration of time they want to find the test runs they want to look at. We have a search criteria to allow people to obviously narrow down which group of runs, which test run name, status, results, anything like that, any attribute of a run you can search through. I will do a quick little click through on the web UI in a moment, but just thought I'd cover these slides to make sure we cover everything. We can also hide and show columns. So the test run table, as I'll show in a moment, there may be columns on that some testers are really interested in, but for other people, it's really not that relevant to them. So again, allowing our users to really personalize their experience of the web UI by hiding or showing columns, changing the order of them, and setting the sort parameter. So for each individual test run, this is just a screenshot from the web UI of an example. You can now see the metadata about that test run on the web UI, and each one has a permalink that can be shared throughout Teams. We can now see the information and the result about each individual test method, as opposed to just seeing the whole test class. You can break it down into each individual test method in the Galasa test. We have the run log, which is viewable and searchable within the web UI. So you can find certain strings in the run log, and you can click through each instance of that string that you found in the run log throughout, turning on partial match or whole word match and matching on case, for example. One of the main things is obviously, as mentioned, finding the test runs that you want to view. So this is an example of what the test run table looks like. As you can see, it's got a lot of columns of different bits of information, which is where the search criteria and the table design, people are allowed to select what they would like to view. And this is where you would click through and you'd be able to go back to that page about that individual test run. And again, you can share the URL of this with others. I may have accidentally put my slides in the wrong order. Apologies about that. So going back to the run log on a single test run, so you can select any text from the run log, copy paste this, and any you actually could copy a URL link selection for a section of the run log with the lines as well. And also filtering. So any message that goes to a run log is of a certain logger type, so error, warnings, info, for example. So people can filter the run log by whichever type of message they would like. So we can also view artifacts through the web UI. We do have an issue at the moment with files that are not of a text content type, but this is something that we're working on and hopefully will be fixed in the next release. But for example, the structure JSON and the run log and artifacts of text type are viewable through the web UI currently. Sorry, just checking I'm in the right order. So that's the web UI. So I just will have a little click through just to show you it in action. So this is our web UI of one of our services. I'm just going to hide this window because it's in my way. Great. So as we can see a batch of runs. The time frame as default is set to just the previous 1 day. But as it said in the slide, you can update this. So for example, if I change that to 5 days ago and I go back to the results, you can now see a whole a much bigger batch of tests that have run for the past 5 days. I can do the search criteria. So if I save, go back, and I've just got my core manager IBTs. There we go. Great. Perfect. So looking at an individual run, as you can see, there's all the metadata, the tags, and then we can go to the method details. And if you click through here, this will actually take you to the section of the run log where that particular method starts. If I wanted to search by a particular string, you would be able to do that and then click through all of the different instances of that string. And artifacts wise, you can now just view these on the web UI. So obviously previously with the CLI, you would have to download these all to your machine and then have a look through, but these are just viewable on the site, which is great. You can still download them, of course, if you need to share them with someone else. You can do that through the URL as well, but if you want to send just the file, for example. But yeah, so a real big push on the web UI this time round. Really great work from the team working on that. So yeah. In terms of what's next, the next few iterations, we just have some stories to clear up some technical debt throughout the project and prevent it building up. We have obviously more web UI work to do for viewing test runs, diagnosing problems, and also saving queries. So you should be able to save a set of queries to your in your web UI, and then you can keep going back to that query. For example, show me the test runs in the last 7 days with this name. You can save that query and keep going back to it. We're also going to start looking at manager allocated resource cleanup. So this is actually to clear up with a manager resources that a test has used if it hangs or if it exits incorrectly. Of course, more customer support. And then if we get to it, more security items.